Hey YouTubers, it's Charlie. This is going to be my Game of Thrones episode 4 video, just careful for spoilers if you haven't seen it yet. I was really happy to see that they finally did Pink Letter from the books. There were a few minor changes to that, and they had that really awesome Daenerys Unburnt end tag. Probably one of the best soundtracks to that ever. They did take a few liberties with the idea of Daenerys Unburnt, but I understand totally what they were going for. They wanted to mirror that scene at the end of season 1 when she hatched the dragons and everyone was just like, oh my god, you're amazing. We'll do whatever you say. So top 10 WTF, and I'll explain book changes as we go along. The title of the episode, number 10 WTF, Book of the Stranger, is all about the idea of death and the unknown. It's one of the aspects of the Seven, but you also have people who seem like strangers, like Theon when he returns to Pike, Sansa seeming kind of like a stranger almost when she appears for Jon Snow, probably one of the most cry-worthy moments of the episode. But one of the other functions that the stranger serves in the Faith of the Seven is leading people into the world of death. Sort of the way the ferryman leads people across the river Styx into the afterlife in Greek mythology. So like Daenerys at the end of the episode is going to lead people across the river, the giant river between the East and Westeros, into the new life that they should be leading. She had that big speech about Khal Drogo's original mission. She's like, we should be doing that, but you're not going to do that. I'm going to do that. So number 9 WTF, Stark Reunion. Just as Jon Snow is ready to begin his new life doing God knows what in the South, taking a vacation, getting warm, Sansa walks in, and everybody just starts crying. You are not a human being if you didn't cry a little bit during that scene. And it was so funny just listening to them reminisce about, yeah, like I used to be an asshole, you used to be an asshole, how about me sulking in the corner all the time? But I love the idea that retaking Winterfell is Sansa's idea. We need to take our home back. We need to do it for our brothers and sisters who might still be alive. This is one of the storylines that's gone wildly off book, like they're way past Dance with Dragons, Jon Snow, Sansa territory, but it was kind of implied that they were heading in this direction anyway. But they threw in a little hat tip to Bran's flashback to the Tower of Joy. Father's ghost will come back and murder me if I don't take care of you. So number 8 WTF, Jon Snow, wildling, Sansa outnumbered about 2-1 to the Bolton army. Where are the others going to come from? Well, we have other Northern Lords that Sansa think might be loyal to them still, like House Mormont that we see in the trailer, and welcome back Littlefinger, who tries to inception Robin Arryn into helping Sansa out. So now we have the forces of the Vale with the wildlings and hopefully at least 1 or 2 other northern houses. So what might end up happening is Jon Snow and Sansa's forces might still be a little bit outnumbered, but they're trying to balance it out a little bit. So it'll wind up being a pretty even fight. There were a couple talks of armies sizes in the episode. Like you have the Tyrells with the second largest army in Westeros. So everyone's very concerned with matching equal forces. Number 7 WTF, the Tyrells versus the High Sparrow. So Cersei has this great plan. They're going to make Marjorie do a shame walk just like she had to do at the end of season 5. The reason the Queen of Thorns is so adamantly against this is because Marjorie is the queen. The queen can't be seen doing something like this. When Cersei did it, it was bad enough, but she technically was not the queen anymore. I don't think it's so much about being a prideful thing. I think the Queen of Thorns just recognizes that Marjorie needs to have the complete faith of the citizens of King's Landing, and if she were to do the penance walk, nobody would respect her, so she would have zero power. It'd be impossible to control the people of King's Landing after that. We've already seen this trailer scene from later in the season, so as we build into the last couple of episodes, armies are marching towards each other. I think it's either episodes 8 or 9. It's supposed to be like the super long big battle. Imagine an episode like season 4, episode 9, with the big battle at the wall between the wildlings and the Night's Watch. Imagine like a much bigger version of that. Number 6 WTF though, Gravedigger. So when Marjorie's talking to the High Sparrow, he tells her his backstory. I walked out without even putting my shoes on. That's a nice Easter egg for the books, because in the books, and they've done it on the show too, the High Sparrow doesn't wear shoes. Like he walks around with that one robe, that's the only robe he owns, and he doesn't have shoes. So he just walks around like that all the time. But it's nice to know that he was a cobbler, like he made shoes. Went to a frat party, woke up to the smell of molten hops and bong resin, threw up in his mouth and said, bullshit, I'm out of here. So if you've ever been to a college party and passed out, then woken up the next morning and had to smell the filth, you would probably do the same thing too. But during that scene, they say the word graveyard twice, which I think is the TV show just trying to inception us into thinking about the Gravedigger as in Gravedigger Theory, Trial of the Faith, Clegane Bowl. So number 5 WTF, going back over into Marine, Tyrion is like the Abe Lincoln of Slaver's Bay. There was this Dan and Dave quote where they were talking about Abe Lincoln in real life. If you don't know American history, Abraham Lincoln, one of America's greatest presidents, was famous for winning the Civil War, abolishing slavery, but they said, like in real life, Lincoln did the Tyrion thing where he tried to bargain with the slavers first. He didn't want to make them go cold turkey on slavery right away, but a lot of the people around him were just like Missandei and Grey Worm and said, this is bullshit, they'll never agree to your terms, this is only going to end badly. So we all know what happened in America after that. The Civil War started, so betting dollars to donuts, there will be Civil War in Marine shortly. Number 4 is Ramsay killing Osha. May she rest in peace. There was so much talk about flayed men that I definitely feel like she's one of the flayed people in the trailer here. So everybody pray for Rickon. But it was such a beautiful way to go out. Do you eat them after? No? Well, then I've seen worse. Number 3, Theon is back in Pike. He's backing Yara as the new queen of the Iron Islands, but we still have the Kingsmoot. The whole reason Euron Greyjoy killed Balon Greyjoy was so that he could take the Seastone chair. So while I'm not expecting Civil War, like outright Civil War in the way that it's happening in King's Landing or Marine, there's going to be a Greyjoy Battle Royale a la Kingsmoot shortly. It seems like based on the teaser footage for next week's episode, that's when we're going to see that. No idea how long they're going to drag it out, but Kingsmoot starts next week. Number 2, we get to see a TV show version of the Pink Letter, and they read it out loud, so you definitely know they're going for the book Pink Letter, even though they changed some of the words. So in the books, there's a whole bunch of different stuff happening. The plot is wildly different. The Night's Watch has not mutinied against Jon Snow yet. Sansa is still safe in the Eyrie with Littlefinger. She's nowhere near Ramsay. And Ramsay has taken Winterfell. So what's happened is Melisandre has glamored, like, the way she glamours herself with that gem around her neck, with her choker. She glamours Mance Rayder to find out what's going on and rescue Arya Stark, who they say has been married to Ramsay, but it's really Jane Poole. It's called fake Arya. So when people talk about the fake Arya of the books, they're talking about Jane Poole. But they kind of gave that plot to Sansa. They changed it wildly because they didn't pretend that she wasn't a Stark. They're like, look, he's marrying a Stark. On the TV show, Mance Rayder is already dead, so that, the plot line has already changed wildly. So a lot of the text of the Pink Letter from the books had to be changed to match that. But you get the idea. Ramsay wants Sansa back, and he tells Jon, I have your brother. I'm going to flay him. I'm going to do terrible things to your sister. He's just trying to do everything he can to goad Jon Snow into a fight that he feels like he is guaranteed to win, because they have what Sansa says is 5,000 men. So in the way Tyrion says that the Masters are going to underestimate Daenerys' small council, that's what's going on with Ramsay and Jon Snow. Ramsay is wildly overconfident. He doesn't know anything about what Littlefinger's planning with the forces of the Vale, and he doesn't know about the other Northern Lord that might still be loyal to House Stark. So really cool to see them do Pink Letter. And if anybody's charting, other changes, at this point in the books, when the Pink Letter happens, Stannis is still alive too. It was really fun to see that moment with Brienne where she's like, I do not forgive and I do not forget. And I'll also say I am now shipping Tormund with Brienne. I do believe one time he boasted having sex with a bear. Brienne has also had some experience with bears. Number 1 WTF moment, of course, is the sequel to Daenerys Unburnt. Daenerys Unburnt again. They really laid it on thick with some of those Dothraki. They were like, you're definitely not one of the Dosh Colleen. We are going to do terrible things to you. And she just shuts him down by burning him alive. It's an amazing moment, but they did take a few liberties with Book Daenerys. So Book Daenerys is unburnt when she hatches the dragons, but the way George R. Martin explained it is because blood magic is in play. Otherwise, she is capable of burning, but what the TV show has done is because, like they did with Jon Snow, they want to make them seem like really special characters. They're just presenting Daenerys as completely 100% all the time immune to fire. I know everybody always gets really excited when Emilia Clarke gets naked for the show when Daenerys is naked on screen, but the bad news is this is a body double in the same way that they used a body double for Cersei's shame walk during season 5. So when you're looking at naked Daenerys here, getting all excited, you're not actually looking at naked Daenerys. I think that Emilia Clarke actually has a clause in her contract now that says that she doesn't have to be naked on screen. So anytime they do stuff like this, they use body doubles and they just digitally put her head on that person's body. So for those of you that are asking, because every once in a while I still get the question, is Daenerys immune to fire? I will say only on the TV show. In the books, she's only immune as long as there's some magic in play. Let me know in the comments though, what was your favorite moment from the episode? There was a lot of humor. Now Daario knows about Jorah's grayscale. At the rate of current progression, it seems like he'll totally live to see season 8 unless one of the dragons chews his head off. Speaking of which, I was totally expecting that Drogon would be what helped Daenerys take control of the Dothraki, not this big unburnt moment, so they are really speeding this along. I wasn't expecting this to happen until a couple episodes later. So you can kind of see where they're headed with this. There's this big problem with the Masters, the combined forces of Slaver's Bay. Daenerys needs to get rid of them. Tyrion's taking the diplomatic approach, but now that Daenerys has the allegiance of the Dothraki, she has this giant force to fight them with. So that's 3 big battles that we know are happening. We have what looks like is shaping up in the east between the Masters, the Harpies, and now Daenerys' forces with these Dothraki. We have King's Landing, and then we have the giant battle that's shaping up in the north. So the only other thing that I'm super excited about next week, I mean there's all kinds of crazy stuff happening, but we finally see Bran having a vision of the Night's King and his army too. So not to be forgotten, we have a lot of like the real world civil war that's happening all over the place. We have the threat of the supernatural war. So what's gonna happen is I'll do my Q&A next week just like I would normally do. There's a new round of the giveaway. It's a $20 Amazon gift card. All you have to do to enter is be a subscriber and leave a comment on this video. So my next Game of Thrones video will be that Q&A video. While you guys wait for my next video to post, you can click here to learn all about R+L=J, the prophecy, the prince who was promised, and you can click here for my episode 3 video. Thank you so much for watching, everybody. Let's high five. I'll see you guys tonight.